Hello everyone. My name is Chandre. I am your host. I would like to welcome you to the MindsDB In Practice webinar. This is our monthly live demo and Q&A session where we showcase the latest products in MindsDB and also have a Q&A sessions where you can ask our team any questions that you like with regards to AI. With me today, I have Aliana Canto, who is the senior product manager of MindsDB, as well as Martina, who is the technical product manager. And also, we have a special guest. With us today is a contributor from Kura, Deeptanshu Sankhwar. He contributed a CLI tool, and he will be showcasing that for us today. So on today's agenda, we will be showing the new evaluate knowledge base syntax. It is super exciting. We are very happy to show you guys what you can do about it with it, and also how you can utilize it with AI. Before we start, you will notice that there is a Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions throughout the call, please feel free to pop a message in there. If you like to ask a question during the demo, please post it there and we will go over all of your questions at the end of the demo. Alternatively, if there is questions that we can answer, Alejandro or Martina will be answering them before we get to the Q&A session. We also have a chat tab. Please introduce yourself, let us know where you're from, what you do for a living, and what your use case is for MindsDB. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to give over to Alejandro and Martina.
All right, so let's get going. Let me share my screen. Just let me know if everybody can see this. Is that a yes? Yes. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to be talking today about evaluation and evaluation of a knowledge base. And it seems to me that like one of the things that whenever we're trying to build an AI tool or an AI system, evaluation seems to be one of the key priorities that we have to focus on if we want our products or systems to make it into production. And in terms of the knowledge bases, I think evaluation is a key component of it. And this is why we push really hard to make it part of our system, to give a tool for every developer that uses MindsDB and builds a tool and builds a knowledge base with MindsDB, a tool to really evaluate like what is the performance of my knowledge bases. I think as soon as many of you have probably tried in the past, right? Like knowledge bases and be able to find the right answer and find the right data, it's a game of marginal improvements. Sometimes I need to change the model. Sometimes I need to change the chunking size. Sometimes I need to do a better data extraction. Sometimes I need to do a little better to keep on gaining those marginal improvements so I can really make sure that the system is returning the right data at the right time, especially when doing semantic and hybrid searches. So we really focus that we build the tools that will enable all users to be able to grab the data when they need it, but also to be able to evaluate how good is this system, is this performing. So let's start going, and this is what we have here for MindsDB on evaluations. So a couple of like the main components, right? Like really what we think about evaluations, we have three main things. One is like we want to make it simple. We want to make it easy. Sometimes evaluations are hard to do. Like you either need to have a test set or a data set or something that comes from either sometimes the client or the end user, or sometimes even along the data that you want to be able to start testing with your knowledge bases. And sometimes we don't have those data sets. So we have a tool here to make one and it help you actually get started, even if you don't have a actual QA or question answer test data set for you to figure out like if your knowledge base is performing right. And we'll show you all type of different performance metrics that you can measure so you can get really deep and really technical on what you're trying to measure and which metric you're trying to improve. So having said that, I'm just going to talk really quick about the evaluation and how to evaluate a knowledge base and our syntax. So what you see here on the screen, here we have like what our evaluation syntax would look like. Also, a quick reminder, all this information is in our documentation. So like if there's any other questions or things you want to look at, just go into the documentation. But basically, this is the syntax to how to run and evaluate a knowledge base. So interesting things, of course, you need to do. You need to have to be able to have created a knowledge base beforehand, uh, obviously, right, to evaluate it. But like sometimes I forget, and that goes into like the first section of the of outcomes. You kind of said like you're going to evaluate, and this is going to be the name of your knowledge base. And the first set of things you'll see here is the test table. The test table is actually the data source or the data set that we're going to be able to use to bring and create the question answer pairs. So some of you might already have a question answer pairs. So you like drop it here, you like connect your data source, and this is where you're going to be able to select what that test table is coming from. We also have, all right, the version that I'm going to talk for in a couple of seconds. But this is like one of the main things I want to be able to do is like, all right, I have a data set I want to test. It goes right here and test data set. The other cool thing here is that, and I know some of you have, but like sometimes you don't have one, right? And this is when we're going to have with the generate data. The generate data command here, we're going to talk about here in like over here, really tells you like how to be able to generate this test setter if you don't have it. If you don't add it, it by default it's going to be no. But the main idea of here is like I have a knowledge base. I want to create a test data set. So you can either, if you bring your own, you're going to put the from SQL and you're going to show us like what is the select like the SQL command to actually extract the question, to extract the question answer that you want from the data table. And you have to select the count. Generally, I just don't. I don't use the from SQL because the generate data command actually generates that for you. So usually the count, which is the number of question answer pairs that you want to run, is perhaps the best way to approach there. I usually go for 10 to 20 questions to be able to have a good idea of how it's going to do. What this does in the background is we select randomly chunks of your knowledge base, we pass in through an LLM, and we generate a question and we generate an answer and we make sure like that and we also indicate in which doc ID, right, is the answer located at. So whenever you run an evaluation, you'll be able to figure out like, hey, if I run this answer, what was the right doc ID that I want to find it and go into that and actually get it through it. So go and play it. It's really cool. It's really cool stuff. Now, in the version side of things is we have two different types of evaluations that you're going to see it. Basically, they are different in the terms of metrics, and we're going to go that into deeper in a second. But we have a doc ID, which is really everything related to like how do we want to find if I was able to find the right doc ID on my queries. What's the different type of metrics assigned to that type of search? And also we have the LLM relevancy that goes a little bit more technical into actually finding different relevancy details and goes a little bit more technical into it. But basically, we have two ways to evaluate your knowledge bases. That this is going to make sense in just a couple of seconds. Next, we have the evaluate, right? Evaluate is here's equal false. So evaluate is really what's going to tell the system if you want to run an evaluation, yes or no. If you put false, it would just only generate the data. So it really go into like um, actual evaluation, but it's to true, then it'll run the full circle. It'll actually generate the data and then run the evaluations. So maybe if you just want to generate data, like want to look what that looks like, click evaluate false. But if you want to do like actually run the evaluation, evaluate true. Then we have the LLM command, which I think is self-explanatory. If you set it up here, we'll use whatever LLM model that you want to be able to provide to generate either the questions and generate the answers for it and evaluate the system. If you don't add the LLM value, we'll use your current um, re-ranking model that you have set before when creating the knowledge base. So you can say your specific model or by default, it will just run re-ranking. If you don't have a re-ranking, then you'll have to set up the LLM model here over here. And lastly, we have the save to, and this is the table where you're going to store your results. So that's either going to go um, for every time you run like one of the evaluations, this is a table that you're going to be able to deploy it to. If you don't define it, I'll just show the answers on the output on the answer screen. But if you do, you'll actually be able to see how like the different results table and actually store those tables. I think that's really useful in the future if you like to make changes or want to do that, or like you change the data set, you can actually analyze different types of results that you got to different type of questions or answers. All right. And so what can you find really? What are the metrics that you're going to be able to get from the evaluation? So when using version.id, you'll be able to see the total number of questions, total found, like what are the questions that were found around those. So like, okay, if I had 10 questions, I found 10, retrieving top 10. So basically like how many of those answers actually came in the top K10 of the knowledge bases. You also get stuff like cumulative recall that will show you like in what position was the output found. So this is really cool. If like your data set is really complex or your knowledge base is really complex, you're able to see, well, I got the result maybe on result number 88 when it should have been 10. So how can I do or improve my knowledge base to get it higher? Average query time, and it'll tell you like how long does it take and how like if querying my knowledge base, how long does it take? It'll get you an idea of how fast your system's going. And then just some basic stuff like name the knowledge base you're searching for and create it at the timestamp. On LLM relevancy, like, and you here, like, this is where we get a little bit more technical, right? Like, you'll see average relevancy, average relevance by score by top K, average first relevant position, mean MRR, the mean reciprocal rank, super important for this type of stuff, hit at K, mean precision at K, average entropy, average NDCG, average query time, name, and created at. So it goes a little bit more technical. Some of the users will find this like a basic, and some other users will go into a little bit more, oh, right, this is perhaps a bit too much for me. But just to know that you can actually look at all these results. Also, a good, sometimes if you don't know what these are, you can always, ask AI, like, what does it mean? Or you can also extract and export the results of your knowledge bases and put it out inside some other LLM, and it will kind of explain how exactly your knowledge base is performing. If you have any questions, like what does actually this type of things means. All right. With that, I'm going to stop with this boring part, and we're actually going to pass it over to Martina, where we can actually see this in action.
Thank you, Ale. Yes, so let's see it in action. I am going to share my screen. So I was just answering one question on the chat that, and thank you, Ale, for this detailed introduction. And to summarize this, so this comment is, we have this knowledge base object if there is anybody not familiar with it. So knowledge bases basically store structured and unstructured data in the format of embeddings, which then is easier for the agents, for the LLMs to go in and find data using semantic search. There is also metadata filtering. So you can read more about knowledge bases in our documentation here. I have shared the link in the chat as well. So having this knowledge base with data from, say, Postgres, with data from your files, etc., and this data, now the evaluate comment evaluates how well the knowledge base searches the available data based on user's query. So here I have a knowledge base that stores some information about products, orders, order ID, product, and nodes. So, oops. Okay. So here I can query this knowledge base by providing my content to be queried here. Let's query for lab. So this is the knowledge base and how it works, and it returns results there at the end. You've got also the relevance score of each. So we see that the highest relevance score was given to this chunk content that actually contains the word black. But that's a very simple query. You can do semantic search, metadata filtering, and all that stuff with knowledge bases. So having this knowledge base now, I want to know how well it answers questions, how well it fetches the data relevant to user's query. And here comes this evaluate comment, where Ale mentioned we have two versions. We have doc ID or LLM relevancy version. So docID simply checks whether the knowledge base returns the chunk content which has ID as defined in the test table. So it's kind of like a binary, either it matches or it doesn't match. So it's a simple evaluation. On the other hand, the LLM relevancy, here we are using the large language model, which you can either provide in the comment, or by default, it will use the re-ranking model of the knowledge base if provided. So here it actually uses an LLM to assess the accuracy, the relevancy of the answers from the knowledge base. So let's start with this one. I have this knowledge base and I'm here. So this evaluate comment, one more important thing, this evaluate comment does two things. It generates the test data and it evaluates the knowledge base. So of course you can opt for not generating data, but providing your own. If you do generate data, by default, it uses the knowledge bases data to create test data. So let me run this comment. And you can also opt for setting evaluate to false if you want to only generate some test data. So there are two tasks that this comment can do: generating data and evaluating knowledge base. So here is my test table, which I've saved into the database. So here it generated questions, answers, and the ID of the data row from the knowledge base that should be returned when asked this question. And now here is the results table that stores total number of questions, which was 5. Total found is 5. So the performance is excellent, but this is of course just a knowledge base with 5 records, so it's very easy here. It has also data for creating chart of the performance, so this is what this big thing can be used for. Average query time and the timestamp. And now looking at the LLM relevancy method, so here, as I said, you can either provide LLM here, or if not provided, it will pick up the re-ranking model defined with the knowledge base. So it may take a couple more seconds as it uses an LLM to assess the relevancy of each score. So here we've got the test table with the questions, and we've got the result table with average relevancy score, which also depends on the data that you store in the knowledge base and the query you ask, like how these two are related as well. So go ahead and try it out, and know that this is a beta feature, so we are still improving it. So give it a try and let us know if you find anything or any other feature requests related to that. And on that note, regarding this default models, etc., I wanted to mention about the feature that we've added and finalized recently, which is the default models. So if you go to settings or MindsDB GUI, there is a setup for models. And this is a cool thing because you can set up your models, which can then be used by agents, by knowledge bases, by functions, such as LLM to markdown functions. So that's the default model, and we'll be adding more providers as well. This is a list available as of now. Then we have specifically for knowledge bases, we have re-ranking model and embedding model. So you can add them here and then create, for example, knowledge base easily without having to define these models every time you create a knowledge base. And besides that, like you can define these models in the graphical user interface, but also you can do that in the config file. So you can find it in our documentation for all these default models. So try it out and let us know your feedback. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Martina. As Martina mentioned, this is a beta feature, so if you encounter any issues, please do not feel discouraged. All you have to do is report them in the questions channel, and we will have a look and obviously try and improve this feature. Thank you so much, Alejandro and Martina. Now we are going to hand over to a contributor. I would like to introduce Deeptanshu Sankhwar. He is currently pursuing his master's in computer science in Colorado. He built a CLI tool that ingests entire code bases and lets you query them using natural language with MindsDB. And I would really love for you guys to see what he has built and see what is possible to build with MindsDB. So over to you, Deeptanshu.
Yep, thank you, Chandra, and thank you everyone for having me in this call. So I'll be presenting my screen and I'll be taking you over what the CLI tool is capable of and how it really works, giving a complete end-to-end flow of everything. So I'll just start presenting now. Awesome. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, all good. We can see.
Perfect, perfect. So just giving like a brief, quick overview about the CLI tool. So it's completely open source. It's on my GitHub. It's called Semantic Code Navigator. So what it basically does is it ingests an entire repository from GitHub into MindsDB Knowledge Base, and then allows users to basically semantically navigate across the code base in natural language by indexing all the functions and classes. So basically, I have also documented all the commands which the CLI tool is capable of, which can be found over here in commands.db. So I'll just go through the entire flow to understand how the CLI tool works by giving a complete flow. So firstly, I'll just run a command to initialize my MindsDB knowledge base. So I'll say knowledge base colon init. Right. So this is currently this is an initialized MindsDB knowledge base for me, which has content fields and few metadata fields as well, like the author, the line range of the function, the summary, etc. So all of this is metadata, and all of this is content. So now the next step is I would actually go ahead with the ingestion. So for this demo, I will be ingesting the repository by MindsDB Evaluator. So I'm just gonna copy it, and then I'm gonna ingest it. So Python3 main.py. And then the repository link and the branch, which is staging. And yeah, a batch size. So I'm just gonna give it a small batch size of 20, and then we can start the ingestion. So the ingestion has started, and we have given it a batch size of 20, and it has overall 41 records. So it's gonna take like 3 batches to complete it. Perfect. So we can see that the entire code base has been ingested in my MindsDB knowledge base. Now I can actually start interacting with this code base by actually giving it human language queries to it. So I'm just gonna give a query. Yeah. So let's say the main.py query, and let's say my query is where are the evaluator classes? Let's say this. And I'm gonna give it a limit of 5. So I just want the top 5 results, and maybe also give it a relevance threshold. Just making sure I don't get the spelling wrong of relevance threshold. All right. And let's give it a relevance threshold of 0.7. And yeah. So now it's searching through my entire knowledge base and finding code pieces which are actually relevant to evaluator classes. So this is what it gave me. So it says that there is one function in init.py, and this is the content, and this is the relevance score. And similarly, I can give any query to search across my code base, but this is not enough. So in order to make this result even more meaningful, I've actually also created AI tables on top of it, MindsDB AI tables. So those AI tables are capable of writing doc strings for the functions it thinks for the function it gives in the output, and defining those functions, explaining those functions, and also classifying those functions into specific buckets. So in order to have that, in my query, in my KB colon query, I'll just add another flag called AI hyphen all. So now my results are also going to go towards a pipeline of all the AI tables, and we're going to see a complete result out of it. Yeah. So we can see it is going through the AI tables, code classifier, code explainer, docstring generator, result rationale, and test case outliner. So here we can see this output is more descriptive. It also tells us where is the relevant code for evaluator classes, what does this function does, and it also explains what this function is actually doing, and it also creates some test cases for it. And then it also generates docstring for this function, and then it also gives a rationale that why does it think that this function matches our initial human language query. So yeah, the possibilities are pretty endless. So we can ingest like a very large code base. So for this, in the interest of time for this demo, I just chose a smaller code base which only has like 3 batches, but we can even have a large code base like let's say Django or something which has around 800 records, and let it ingest, and we can ask any question across the code base. So basically any developer joining a new company can literally start pushing code from day one, because basically the time to uh, get to fruition is being reduced by this tool. So yeah, this is what I built.
Deeptanshu, this is amazing. Like, what a cool project. What a cool use of MindsDB. It just warms our heart to see that, like all the hard work that we built to build the system and this product, and that it helps people like you to build this incredible presentation. Great use of knowledge bases, great use of relevancy. The AI tables is just like the coolest, like cherry on top I've seen in a while. So great job. Really appreciate it. What a cool use case.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad
I
you
agree
like it.
100%.
Yeah. Thank you, Jordan.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Deeptanshu. Does anyone have any questions with regards to the evaluate knowledge bases syntax, or with regards to what Deeptanshu just presented with his CLI tool? If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or in the QA tab. Give you a second. Deeptanshu, if I may ask, how long did it take you to actually build the CLI tool? How many days?
I think around a week, maybe
Wow,
5 days. Yeah, around 5 days to a week. Yeah.
amazing. And did you encounter any issues? If there were any issues, how were you able to resolve them?
So I believe the documentation was pretty descriptive. So regards to the documentation, I didn't encounter any issues as such. But yeah, a few network failures here and there, but yeah, everything was fine apart from that. Yeah. I'll just drop the repository link on the chat if anyone's interested to check it out.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Deeptanshu. I was just about to ask that. And good luck, obviously, with the career quest. Wishing you good luck and holding thumbs that you might win one of the rewards as well. But this has been amazing. We have a question in the chat. Dee's asked, so if we were to use this as a tool to get new developer on board sooner, would this tool be able to load up the source code directly from Git or some source control?
Yes, exactly, it is. I mean, that's what actually I did. I just gave the Git repository link and it ingested the code directly from the Git source. Yeah, that's exactly what it does.
I love that the questions are coming for Deeptanshu because like that's obviously the cool thing that we showed today. The evaluation obviously was very well explained and like so like no questions there, but like this is so cool.
Yeah, definitely well done, Deeptanshu. Just one question. I noticed that you were using the relevance threshold parameter, which has been in the recent versions renamed. So I believe you are using one of the older versions of knowledge bases. So do you have a plan to update to the latest one?
I do actually right after this call, Martina, after hearing from you. So I'll be checking out the updates and making sure to integrate them as well.
We remove
Okay.
the underscore threshold and it's only the relevance, but just make it a little bit more clear. Also have better ways to just say like greater than equal. So some cooler, I think, functionality. But yeah.
Makes sense, Alejandro. Yeah, I'll integrate that.
Amazing, amazing. Okay. Once again, thank you, Alejandro. Thank you, Martina. Thank you, Deeptanshu, for presenting. And also, thank you to everyone who joined in for our demos. I hope this was very insightful. And hopefully, we will see you guys next month in our monthly live demo and QA session. Have yourself a lovely weekend. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Chandra. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you all. Bye.